We told you about Karine Jean-Pierre shaming a reporter for asking questions about transgender athletes competing in girls' sports. Former college swimmer Riley Gaines firing back at these comments. Ashley, what is she saying?
Well, Gaines says the White House press secretary simply got it wrong when she was asked this question by a reporter. Listen to it and we'll see what Gaines says.
What would the president say to parents out there who have daughters, let's say in high school, for example, who are worried that their daughter may have to compete against a male, a person born male, and there could be directly in physical athletic competition and worry about their daughter's safety?
What you're alluding to is basically saying that transgender kids are dangerous. That is a dangerous thing to say, that essentially transgender kids we're talking about are dangerous.
So Riley Gaines heard that and tweeted this. She says, when they say inclusion, just know they really mean exclusion. The message this sends to all women is that our safety doesn't matter, nor does our privacy, our fairness, our equal opportunities, or our dignity. The misogyny is slapping us across the face. Hashtag Save Women's Sports. Gaines, of course, has been among those leading the charge to keep transgender girls and women out of girls and women's sports in the name of fairness and equality. Stu.
All right, now this. Lawmakers in Ohio want to ban minors from getting sexual reassignment procedures. They're also looking to ban transgender girls from competing in women's sports altogether. And they have K through 12 schools and universities designate separate teams based on gender. In California, they're pushing a bill to punish parents who refuse to confirm their child's gender identity. Caitlyn Jenner with me this morning. All right, Caitlyn, where do you stand on separate teams? Let's deal with that first.
Well, Stuart, always good to see you. So much to talk about.
Yes, you do.
Yes, separate teams. To be honest with you, Stuart, there's not enough trans people out there to even make one team, let alone have separate teams. So that is really not the answer. But what I did see in Alaska, they were dealing with this. They were going to ban transgender girls from sports. And what they tried to do is they tried to make a separate league, an all-gender league, meaning it doesn't make any difference if you're trans, you're straight, you're a boy, you're a girl, whatever it may be. They were trying to see if they could put this together in the state of Alaska and build a league in each league so they could play an all-gender, basketball team. Anybody could play. In that case, I think that's probably pretty fair and maybe a good way to do this. Because to be honest with you, there's not enough trans people out there to make one team. So, we'll see if that works out.
We could call that the Alaskan Compromise, I guess we could say that, if you like. Now,
yes, it would be, yes.
Where do you stand on prohibiting transgender procedures for youngsters?
What I don't like, and this is bottom line, I don't like government involved in any of these issues. I know in today's society, I mean, you're crazy if you think government's not going to be involved. I think when government gets involved, it makes it so much more complicated. I mean, we've had trans issues in the world. Gender dysphoria has been around forever. And now all of a sudden, over the last 5-10 years, government has come in and trying to control everything. I think young children should be very cautious and parents should be very cautious when it comes to a transition and making changes that's going to last the rest of their life. But that is a decision, not for the government, not for some guy in the legislature who doesn't even know a trans person. That is a decision between the parents, the child, and their doctor. Bottom line, those are the ones that should make the decision, not government. So that's kind of where I stand there. And that may be unrealistic thinking in today's society, but I would like to see government out of this issue.
You said at the beginning of this interview that you had a lot to talk about and a lot to get through, so I'm going to change the subject to this. California's lost 500,000 people just between 2020 and 2022. That's an enormous number of people. And dozens of celebrities are leaving. Dean Cain, Mark Wahlberg, Ozzy Osbourne, Rod Stewart. This is because of taxes and crime, I guess, but would you ever consider leaving California?
Well, Dean Cain was a very good friend. He lived right down the street.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he was gone. I can't blame anybody for leaving California. I haven't done it yet. Have I thought about it? Absolutely. Actually, it would be kind of cool if
Where would
I could
you go?
convince my whole family. Yeah. If I could convince my whole family to leave, the GDP of the state would just go boom, would plummet. And that's a lot there. But where would I go? I have no idea. I was looking at property up in Wyoming because my sister has a place up there. I don't know where I would wind up going. But for right now, I have my little house up on top of a hill, no neighbors. I've got, it's a nice situation. And unfortunately, all my grandkids, I have a lot of kids, a lot of grandchildren, and they all live within a half hour of each other. So that's kind of hard to leave.
I have 11 grandchildren. How many do you have?
Actually, I'm going to a baby shower on Saturday, and that will be for my 22nd grandchild.
Oh, okay. No contest. You win. you win.
Yeah, it's no...
Hands down. Hands down. I've got
Let
30
me tell
seconds.
you, it's all on computer. Yeah.
I just want to deal with PGA Live Golf, the merger. Seems to me like the Saudis have bought the game of golf. And I know you are a golfer. So what do you say to the Saudi move?
Yes. Well, I think unifying golf is by far the most important thing. First of all, Saudi golf, or whatever you want to say, is so well funded. You're not going to outspend them. Live Golf is going to be around for a long time. The PGA has to figure out how to live with them. I thought it would take longer. I was very surprised, like you. I heard you and Brett Baer talking about this just a minute ago. And it's a little crazy that they haven't been unified. And so it's a good thing. I think it's a good, positive thing for golf. We don't know all the details yet. And, the details are going to be really important.
They are. Caitlyn Jenner, it's always a pleasure. Please don't be a stranger to us. And if you ever consider leaving California, please don't come to New Jersey. It's not the right place for you.
Don't you have a guest house in Florida?
I do, as a matter of fact. And you're welcome to it.
That's what I thought.
Believe me, Caitlyn, you could afford the rent. Believe me, you could.
Okay, now it's go for rent. What type of friendship is this, Stuart?
Non-existent. Just give me the money. Caitlyn, you're all right, okay?
Yes,
you're all
I got
right. Thanks very much for being with us.
You got it.
See you soon.
Thanks.